All right, welcome to Breathwork for connection and co-regulation. Just a few housekeeping items. I always encourage people to close your browsers, your social media tabs. We absorb this information so much better when we can be present and not distracted. Silence your phone. Tell your family you're going to be busy. Don't bug you for about 90 minutes. And make sure you have some space. We are going to try some of these breathing exercises, and you're going to need a little bit of room to move around. Over the next 90 minutes, we are going to cover why breathwork and co-regulation is so important, other than the obvious reasons. Horse breath versus human breath and how they work together. How to change your breath to change your life. And 5 exercises to deepen your connection with your equine partner. And this is actually the first time I'm sharing this information in a class. So I hope that you all stay in touch. I have a group, a free group that everybody can join afterwards. And I really can't wait to see what this does for you guys and the relationship with your equine partners. So I know some of you in the class, and I see some new faces tonight. So that's amazing. I always love new faces. Just to give you a little bit of background about me and who I am. I'm a horse and human behaviorist, entrepreneur, researcher, veteran, facilitator, teacher, and most importantly, a lifelong student. So my biggest passion in life is learning really, really cool, impactful things, implementing them, and then sharing them with other people. I've got 35 years of horse experience. A lot of that is in generaling wild Mustangs and turning around last chance or behavioral horses. I'm also the founder of the nonprofit Hooves, which enlists rescued horses to help veterans transform post-traumatic stress into post-traumatic growth. And also the creator of the Equine Wisdom Institute as of January this year. I'm a published author of the book called Little Book of Questions for Massive Transformation, and newly the creator of reflection-based horsemanship, which is, I'm going to share a little bit about that tonight in the work that we're doing. I have a couple of degrees, business, marketing, human resources, but I really got into equine science and psychology and trauma coaching. I'm just wrapping up my master's degree, hopefully this year, in psychology. And so I love taking everything I learn in the human realm and transferring it over and implementing it to work with horses. So that is my passion. And again, I'm so happy that you're all here. I'm so excited to share this information with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Horse breath versus human breath. So I have a picture. I tried to make these purple so they weren't so dramatic, but this is a human lung versus a horse's lung, fully expanded or fully inflated. So as you can see, there's a major difference in size. The average human lung capacity is 1.5 gallons, and the average horse is 14.5 gallons. And the average, this is an adult male, takes about 16 ounces in a normal breath, or what they call a tidal breath. And a horse takes 1.3 gallons per tidal breath. A human can breathe on average 2 gallons per minute, and a horse breathes 16 gallons per minute. And 15 tidal breaths for a human, or 1.5, that's supposed to be 1.5 deep breaths per minute. And the working breath of a horse is up to 370 gallons per minute. So there's some massive differences. And this is more just gee whiz information than relevant. Oh, we got Karen. Let me see. Get Karen in there. All right. Hi, Karen. I'm so glad that you made it in. We haven't really gotten into it yet. So we're just looking at horse breath versus human breath. So as you can see, and it's obvious, right? There is a big difference, but I think what is so incredible and cool is that we, with our tiny lungs compared to the horse's massive lungs, can actually influence the breaths that the horses take. I want to help you guys understand a little bit more. Horses also breathe differently than humans. So what I want you guys to do, we're going to do a little exercise here, is don't start yet. You're going to breathe in as deeply as you possibly can, and you're going to expand your lungs till you can't inhale any further. Now, if you feel dizzy or this is painful or uncomfortable in any fashion, please stop doing it. But if you feel all right, I want you guys to feel this and get a sense for it. So go ahead and just breathe in, let your lungs expand until you can't take in any more air. I'm just going to fill those lungs up. And then if you feel comfortable, I want you to pause for just a moment. And then I want you to slowly let the air out of your lungs. And I want you to focus on the amount of air that has entered your lungs and is exiting your lungs with this big breath. And so I'm going to have you do that 3 times. So if you've done that already, you're going to breathe in again. Let your lungs expand, take in all the air that you possibly can. Just observe that air filling your lungs. And now slowly let it out. And just pay attention to how much air is leaving your lungs. And then we're going to do that one more time. So you're going to fill your lungs as much as you can. Pause for a moment. And then slowly let the air out. Now, what I want you to do is just breathe normal. So I want you to just take a couple of normal breaths. It should feel substantially less. And I want you to just observe the difference in your body, the difference in your chest, breathing normal versus taking deep breaths. So as humans, we can breathe through both our nose and our mouth. So we're going to do this little exercise now. So this time you're going to breathe in, and I want you to strictly inhale through your nose, and don't do it yet, but you're going to inhale strictly through your nose, and then you're going to plug your nose, and you're only going to exhale using your mouth. So let's go ahead and do that. So inhale through your nose, fill up your lungs, and plug your nose, and then you're going to inhale using only your mouth. So that's on average, that's proper breathing for a human. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Now, I want you to try to inhale using both your nose and your mouth at the same time. It's a little bit challenging, isn't it? So if you've done this correctly, you will notice that inhaling through your nose takes the longest amount of time. And so horses can only breathe through their nose, which is quite different than humans. So I want you to imagine actually doing that 280 times per minute. It's pretty mind-blowing, huh? So these are not the exercises I'm teaching tonight, but I like to have an understanding of as much as I can about horses and how they breathe. And I think it's cool. I love to learn and get that information, and always try to see things from the viewpoint of where the horse is coming from. So let's go ahead. Why isn't that changing? Okay. I also want to mention too, I really want this course to be interactive. I love questions. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and I will get to them as we go as soon as I possibly can. So what happens when we don't breathe? And if you've done any type of horseback riding, which I'm assuming everyone on this call has done, I know for me personally, when I'm riding and I'm concentrating and I'm trying to think about where I should be positioned and what I'm asking the horse to do, a lot of times I'll be in the arena and I'll be going around and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm not even breathing. Or I know one of my old riding instructors used to yell all the time, breathe, breathe, because we forget to breathe. And I think one of the reasons that breathing is so important is because when we don't breathe right, there's physiological effects, right? So when we're stressed out, we've got a million things going on, we're overstimulated, we're burnt out, we default and we take more shallow breaths. And this really creates a domino effect in our mind and in our body. So when your lungs don't get enough oxygen, they become stressed. And when your lungs are stressed, it tightens your whole body. I want you guys to go to a recent moment that you had some stress going on and think about it and think about what happens to your body in that moment. Can you just feel like your lungs tighten and your shoulders come up and your whole body comes up with it? So can definitely stress your whole system. Furthermore, when we're not taking enough oxygen in, our brain stress response becomes triggered. And that causes the release of cortisol, which puts us in our sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight state, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. And the reality is the more we find ourselves in this state, which I really feel like, since COVID and the way all the stresses in the world and social media and just everything, we tend to end up in this state more often. And the more often we end up in this state, the more neural pathways we create to go into this state. And after an extended period of time, we actually start to get trapped in our amygdala, in our stress response. And the longer we spend there, the harder it is to get out and the more work we have to do to get ourselves out, which is very possible, especially through using breathing techniques. And finally, it affects our horses. The way that we breathe deeply affects our horses. And I'm going to talk about something called a morphic field here in a minute. But through this energy field, horses respond to our energy. And this can cause risk in their body, both mental and physical, just like it causes us. And so I think, especially if we've got chores and we're out there and we're rushing through things, our body responds to that. And in turn, our horse's body responds to that. So morphic field, I know if you've taken any courses with me before, you know what a morphic field is. Is there anyone in the call tonight that has not heard of a morphic field? Can you put that in the chat box? Just curious. Okay, so Kelly has not heard of the morphic field. So there is a guy named Rupert Sheldrake, and his website is amazing. It's rupertsheldrake.org. If you want to learn more about the morphic field, he's written like 20 books. He goes very scientific into it. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, Sarah hasn't heard of the morphic field either. Awesome. So I feel like if you are alive, you should know about the morphic field, but especially if you work with horses, knowing about the morphic field is so important. So this is a social field, or the morphic field spans about 8 feet out from our body, and anything that's within that field starts picking up on our vibration. And it's even hypothesized that horses can see like our memories and our thoughts. So it's very, very profound. It's very, very real. But this really bonds and ties us with our horses, especially because our horses don't have a spoken language. So anytime that your horse is within your field, they're absorbing everything that you're putting out. So if you've had a stressful day and you don't take care of your emotions or your mental and emotional state before you go into the barn, they're immediately going to pick up on it and become susceptible. And I'm guessing that everyone on this call has been in multiple barns. And so just think about, have you ever walked into a barn and you go in this barn and you just want to take, like, you're just relaxed. You just want to take a big, deep breath and you're like, oh, it's so calming to be in here. And then think about a barn that you've been in where like the energy, the stress is palpable, right? So maybe it's a lesson barn or a boarding facility and there's a lot of busy people and they're coming in and out with their stress and their anxiety, and it just sticks and the horses pick up on it and it becomes a vicious cycle, and it really becomes palpable. I've been in a few barns that I'm like, oh, I'm turning around. I can't be in here right now. And I think the more you bring this into your awareness, the more you'll see it. So you'll really expand that awareness. So I love the work of Rupert Sheldrake. I also love the work of David Hawkins. He wrote the book Power versus Force, and he also is the creator of the Hawkins scale of consciousness. So if you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend all of David Hawkins' books and all of his teachings. There's tons of videos on YouTube, free videos. But essentially, he, through kinesiology, has created this scale of consciousness. And so there's many, many graphs and scales, but I really liked this one for the class I'm teaching today. I think I use a different one in everything I teach. But when we are in emotions, if you look at the green and the orange in this diagram, so shame and guilt are the lowest vibration we could possibly put out there, followed by apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. It's a little bit higher, but not much. So if we are in emotional states that you see here in either the green or the orange, we are going to absorb energy or take energy from our environment. So have you ever been around somebody that's just in a really low emotional state, and maybe they're chronically in this emotional state, and you spend a little bit of time with them, and after you leave, you're like, I literally feel like I need a nap. I think some people call them energy vampires, but it's a very real thing. And because horses have such a higher level of sensitivity, they absolutely feed on this and are impacted by it far more than human beings even are. So to get to the point where you're not taking energy out of your environment, you need to at least get to a place, an emotion of neutrality. So, that is, if you are anything below that, you are like a vacuum sucking energy. But when we shift, and, neutrality might not seem like, well, it's neither good nor bad in an emotional state, but neutrality also can be seen as homeostasis, which is balance, right? An equal amount of benefits, drawbacks, an equal amount of support and challenge. So it is really a balanced state. And if you've done any type of work with equine assisted learning, equine assisted psychotherapy, then I'm sure you've seen this firsthand. When the human has the emotional shift, the horse then immediately shifts. And it's no different in horsemanship. So if you've never participated in any type of equine assisted learning or psychotherapy, I'm sure this is still very real and it is integral. And I don't think enough people take this into consideration when they're training or riding or building a relationship with their horse. So once we move beyond neutrality into willingness, acceptance, and then love, joy, peace, which our goal through breath work is to get to a state of peace. At that point, anything beyond neutrality, we're actually putting positive or good energy, we're exuding that out from our body. So we are sharing that emotion. So just like I asked you to think about a time that somebody was an energy vampire and you felt exhausted, I want you to think about somebody in your life that you've spent time with, and maybe you weren't in the best of places when you met up with that person, but after you spend a little time with that person, you're like, man, I feel energized, I feel good. So that person is in one of these higher emotional states. So, again, we're all human and there's no judgment behind this. We're all going to enter into states of lower vibration emotions. It's just part of life. But when we're aware of it and we can take action to correct that before we go and spend time with our animals, not only does it help us mentally, physically, emotionally, but it also helps our horse, it protects our horse, and it also allows us an opportunity to a much deeper connection. So what happens to a horse when a horse can breathe better? So the first thing that happens when horses breathe better is the respiration rate and their pulse can slow down and their circulation and muscle function increases. So if you do any type of sports or endurance riding with your horses, spending a few minutes breathing with them before you go into competition or even before you go on a trail ride. I mean, I try to do this as often as possible. And certainly anytime I'm going to do anything competitive, I definitely spend the time because, it's easy to pull muscle when you're stressed out. It's just easy to get injured. And it's also easy to be emotionally responsive when you're stressed out, which can also lead to accidents, which cause injury. When horses breathe better, they regain normal carbon dioxide level, which can reverse damage to the body created by lactic acid buildup. So breathing better can literally help your horses self-heal. It is incredible and profound, and I could write a book alone on what I've seen breathing do in the realm of healing horses. It obviously reduces stress and anxiety, therefore the risk of injury. And the more you practice with your horses, the easier time they are going to have returning to the anabolic state. So, I notice like my horses can handle quite a lot of stress. Not that they're in stressful situations a lot, but there's been a couple of times that, we've encountered. I was out on a trail ride and I didn't see wire and my thoroughbred put his leg right through this mesh fence and got stuck. And, I immediately defaulted to the deep breathing. And because I've spent so much time breathing with him, I was actually able, even though he knew he was caught, I was able to get him to stand perfectly still while I got down, and I was able to lift his leg effortlessly out of this mangled wire mess. And so I do really believe that doing breath work did save my horse's leg that day. And it also restores focus and attention to the task at hand. I know sometimes when we're trying to teach our horse things and they're not picking up on it, or we're in a situation that is stressful, it's really easy to get distracted. It's easy to get up in our head. It's easy to get frustrated. And the moment we reach frustration with our horses, we're done. We can no longer effectively impact them. So I like to I reward my horses with breath, and I also, encourage them or reassure them. So if we get into a situation where maybe they're not understanding what I'm asking, I love to just take a pause, just do one deep breath and kind of hit that reset button. It makes all the difference in the world. And when you practice this regularly, it really is like a trigger for relaxation, and they respond to it very well. And it really doesn't take that much time and effort. This is stuff you can incorporate in your day-to-day interactions with them. So co-regulating. So a lot of times, especially if we're in the industry of equine assisted learning or equine assisted therapy, we bring groups of people around our horses and they just start yawning automatically. And so horses will co-regulate for humans. They'll also co-regulate for each other. And so what they're basically trying to do is help move and release that energy that's pent up or built up within the herd member or the human. So humans can also co-regulate with other human beings. So any mammal can co-regulate with another mammal. but our nervous systems resonate with one another, and it's almost like a tuning fork. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced tuning forks. My friend Melinda uses them, and they're super cool. But it helps us really promote shared experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, we can co-regulate just by showing up in a certain way and being like holding space for that horse or that person. It's not only an interpersonal process, but it is also neurological and biological. So it's like when you're around someone that yawns, like I'm about to yawn just thinking about yawning. Oh, excuse me. But it is, they say laughter is contagious. If someone yawns, you yawn. So those are all bits and pieces of co-regulating. And horses and humans, bodies and brains can resonate in synchronization. And we're going to see that in some of the videos that I've done here in just a few minutes. So benefits of co-regulation. There are many, many benefits of co-regulation, but these are just 3 primary benefits. And the first one is supporting that nervous system to feel soothed when depressed, and developing that healthy window of tolerance. Like I said, my thoroughbred, I get comments all the time like, oh, wow, your thoroughbred doesn't act like a thoroughbred. He acts more like a quarter horse. And really what it is that I've taught him how to regulate by doing a lot of breath work with him. And the more we do it, the quicker they can get back into that window of tolerance and that parasympathetic nervous system. There's also physiological changes that are positive. Again, when we co-regulate and we can get that breathing down and get that person or horse calmed down, the levels of cortisol decrease and their heart rate goes down. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard or researched anything with heart math. I'm not super, I haven't researched it in depth, but I've talked to enough people that have. And so, it's scientifically proven that horses can actually help regulate a human's heart rate. But think about the time, effort, and energy a horse has to spend if they have to regulate you. And one of the horse's highest needs or highest values is conservation of energy. So if you're going out to the barn and before you can even get to work, your horse is having to regulate you, it's going to be stressful, and it's going to take away from some of what you could have in your session with your horse, if that makes sense. And the horse-human bond provides an opportunity for social engagement and attachment. And, these are interactive neurobiological transactions, but really in layman's term, that's what we call connection. So when you go out in the pasture to get your horse to bring it in to do work, how does the horse respond to you? Do they run to you? Do they run away from you? What are they associating you with? And working with many, many, many abused last chance horses that people have called me and said, don't take that horse. You'll never get anywhere. That horse is untrainable, so on and so forth. And using breath work as a big part of being able to rehabilitate them. I haven't met a horse yet that hasn't been able to make a shift. And breath work is something I always incorporate into my practice and training. Like we have co-regulation, we also have co-dysregulation. So that's the polarity, that's the other side. And so co-dysregulation is when horses experience a dysregulated state because of the presence of a person who's experiencing emotional distress or physiological activation. So tension in the body, when you go in the barn, are you clenching your teeth? Are your shoulders raised up? What does that look like? And how is that impacting your horse? Because they pick up on it right away. And you'll see in one of the videos that I have how even just the inhale and the exhale changes the horse's physiology. So during co-dysregulation, oh, tongue twister, horses can become agitated, and they might become agitated for other reasons. Maybe there's another horse that is acting up in the pasture while you're trying to get your horse out, or Maybe something spooks the horse and they become agitated. And so what happens when the horse gets agitated is they can dysregulate you, the human, trigger your fear response, which then re-triggers their fear response. And then you're just in this vicious cycle of stress. And that's a lot of times that's when injuries happen, either horse or human related, right? We escalate. So as humans, we can co-regulate these horses, and really just through practicing this breath work, it's absolutely amazing how we can bring them down and watch them shift. So let's take a look at how breathing exercises impact you as a human. And my disclaimer, if you have any medical condition, please consult with your doctor before practicing any of these techniques. Or if at any point, as we're going through these techniques, you feel dizzy, please stop, don't push yourself. Sometimes if you haven't breathed well, then these can be a little bit challenging. So just pay attention, listen to your body, don't do anything to harm or stress your body out. And keep in mind that the more you practice these techniques, the better you'll get. I also believe, I will be willing to bet that you all sleep really, really well tonight after practicing these techniques. So one of the really cool techniques that I like to use when I'm curious on how stressed out I am, or usually not if I'm stressed out, but how stressed out I am, is to test my breath. So I want you guys to take your finger, and you're going to put your finger directly under your nose so that you can feel the breath on your finger from both of your nostrils. Okay. And so don't do it yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to blow out of our nostrils when I say go 3 times in a row. So ready, go. Did you guys feel that one side was, the air on one side was stronger than the other? If you did, let me know in the chat box. And if you felt it stronger, which side was it on? Okay, perfect. Stacy says it was on the left. And if okay, Carol said the right side is strong. Okay. And if you didn't feel the difference, then you can try it again. But just make sure when you do this, you blow out of your nostrils 3 times in a row. Sarah said my fingers are not that sensitive. The life of an electrician, huh? Maybe try the back of your hand if you can't feel from your finger, or instead of the side of the finger, the back of the finger. Right side. Okay. So if you felt a stronger breath on the left side of your nostril, that indicates that you're operating from your parasympathetic nervous system. So that means you are not in fight or flight, and that you are in rest and digest, that you're relaxed. Yeah, Stacy, that's good. That's really good. If you felt a stronger breath on your right nostril, that indicates that you're operating from your sympathetic nervous system, so fight or flight. So that might mean that you have some stress going on. And which is perfect, because hopefully by the end of this course, we can test our breath again, and hopefully everyone will be breathing out of their left nostril. So I try to do this. Well, I do it anytime I think about it and I'm curious, or if I'm feeling stressed, but I also try to check myself before I go into the barn to be with my horses, because I know that if I'm breathing predominantly out of the right side of my nostril, I have some work to do before I go see my horses. So I'm going to show you these 5 exercises, but before we get into it, I want to talk about proper technique. So have any of you guys ever played a musical instrument or done any type of yoga? If you have, this will be easier than not. So when we're breathing properly in all of these exercises, we want to make sure that when we inhale, and this might seem a little backwards, but when we inhale, our stomach should push out. And when we exhale, we're going to push all that air out of our stomach, and our belly should actually draw in. So let's just take a minute and let's do a couple of breaths like that. So you're going to inhale through your nose, and you can inhale and exhale through your nose, and you can exhale through your mouth if you want. It doesn't matter, but we're going to inhale through our nose, and you're just going to make sure the air goes into your belly, and you want to see your belly expand out and get bigger. And then when you exhale, either through your nose or through your mouth, you're going to push that air out, and your belly should come back in. It's almost like you're contracting your abdominal muscles. So that's going to be the basis for all the exercises that we're about to do. And, I didn't ask at the beginning, is anyone in the class tonight, have you guys done breath work before? Are you familiar with any of the stuff that we're talking about? I usually ask and I forgot to. You can let me know in the comments. All right. So the first exercise we're going to do is called the 3-part breath. And this is a really good beginner breath, but I will tell you, if you have not done breath work before, or you are struggling to do any of these exercises, I recommend starting out laying on your back. So, if you're comfortable and you want to lay down, feel free to do that. Or if you feel lightheaded at any point, you should stop and do this laying down. And when I first started doing breath work, I was a mouth breather, which was very bad. And I had a lot of implications because I was a mouth breather. But when I first started breathing properly, just doing deep breaths made me really, really dizzy. So that's normal. But again, you want to really make sure that that air is going into your abdomen. So you can take one hand and put it on your abdomen, and you can put one hand on your chest. It doesn't matter which one. And the first thing we're going to do is inhale through our nose. And again, we're going to inflate our abdomen. And don't do this yet. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to go through the steps, and then we'll do the breath. But you're going to inhale through the nose. You're going to inflate the abdomen like we just did, like it's blowing up like a balloon. Then you're going to take your breath into the middle of your chest, so your diaphragm, and you're going to expand upwards into your rib cage. And then finally, you're going to fill your upper chest, and you want to think about expanding your clavicle area, your collarbones, and you're going to bring your body up as if you were a marionette puppet on strings, which, by the way, I said that to a student, a young student, and they didn't know what a marionette puppet was, and I felt incredibly old. Side bubble. But yeah, so this is going to be kind of like an accordion breath. So you're going to kind of start out collapsed, and as you breathe, you're going to bring your body up. Once you fill your abdomen, your diaphragm, your chest, and your clavicle with air, you're going to hold that for just a few seconds if you can. Again, if you can't, please don't push yourself. And then you're going to exhale through your nostrils, so this is a nose only breath, and you're going to push all that air out, and you're going to start at the top, and you're going to work your way all the way back down. So it's kind of like I always think about those things that we use to make the fire bigger, that you pull them apart, they fill with air, and then you close them and they push air out on the fire. So and then when you get to the exhale, you're going to again pause for a few seconds. So we're going to do this exercise. We're only going to do it 3 times. Once you get better versed in this, or if you are, we're going to do a lot of breathing, so I don't want to take anyone through 6 to 8 reps of this, because sometimes I can't even get through 8 of these when I'm going, if I struggle to go to bed at night and I do this, I don't usually last for 8 reps. I'm usually comatose after about 4 or 5. So I don't want anyone to fall asleep on the call. It's also important too, if you're not laying on your back, when you do these breathing exercises, you want to put both of your feet flat on the floor. You don't want to have your legs crossed, or you can sit Indian style if you're sitting on the floor. But don't cross your legs, because you want to have a balanced body position. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do these breaths 3 times. So go ahead and start in through your nose. You're going to fill that abdomen, the diaphragm, the chest, the clavicle. Feel your body come up. You're going to pause for a few seconds. And then exhale through the nose, and you're just going to go right back down. So clavicle, chest, diaphragm, stomach. Your stomach's going to contract in, and you're going to push all the air out of your stomach. Pause for a few seconds. Start to fill again. So abdomen, diaphragm, chest, clavicle. Pause for a few seconds. And exhale through the nose. Again, clavicle, chest, diaphragm, stomach. Pushing all the air out. Pause for just a moment. And last time, you're going to fill the belly, diaphragm, the chest, the clavicle. Pause. And last time, you're going to exhale, clavicle, chest, diaphragm, belly. Push all the air out. Great job. So how did that feel? How do you guys feel? Did anyone get dizzy? Does anyone feel relaxed? Let me know in the chat box. Kelly's ready to go to bed. We just got started, Kelly. All right, Sarah said, harder to regulate the exhale. It just all kind of comes out. Yeah, so that's great feedback. So that is something we're going to work on in another breath that will actually help you with this breath as well. So stay tuned for that. But again, like these just, like for me personally, my breath was never even in my awareness until it was brought into my awareness. And once I realized how important it was, like I could never go back. So I put this one second to counterbalance anyone who might want to go to sleep. But this is the throw it away breath. So, okay, let me step back for a minute. So the 3-part breath is a good training breath. So if you're new to breath work, or you know, you want to strengthen the control, you want to build up your lungs, the 3-part breath is great. It's a great practice breath. The throw it away breath I use a lot when I'm in stressful situations. You can go into the bathroom, go into the bedroom, go into the office, shut the door. But if I am in a stressful situation and I just need something quick to calm me down, or like if I have to go out to the barn, but I've just had an interaction that's stressful, I know I'm in my sympathetic nervous system, I will do the throw it away breath. So for this one, you're going to stand up. And again, I'll go through the steps and then we'll do it together. We'll do 3 of these together. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to stand, and you're going to put your hands together in prayer form. and you're going to make sure that your belly is empty. So you're going to incorporate the last part of that 3-part breath, and you're going to breathe out through your nose and make sure that your lungs are totally empty. Then as you inhale, you're going to raise your hands up above your head, and you are going to take, again, you're going to fill your belly with air, but this, you're not going to do it as slow. You're just going to kind of take in all the air that you can from your belly to your chest, to your clavicle. And then as you exhale, you are going to throw your hands out in front of you, and you are going to visualize any of the stress and emotion just being thrown out of you by your hands, and you're just going to throw it away. Hence the name throw it away breath. And then finally, you can pause it at the bottom for a moment and just make sure all that air is out of your lungs, and give an emotional, and then like once you emotionally feel reset, then you can stand back up. And yes, Sarah, I can give you a demo. Let me see. Let me bring back down. Can you guys see me in the corner? Okay, perfect. All right, so you're gonna stand, again, you want your feet to be square with your hips, and you're just gonna stand in prayer. I'm gonna do it actually this way, so it'll show you a little bit better. And make sure all the air is out of your lungs. Then as you inhale, lift your hands up. You can even look up at your hands and throw it away. All right. So go ahead and give that a try. I like to do 3 of them. Usually I can't get rid of it all on the first time, but 3. I'm telling you, this is my favorite technique when I feel like I'm not feeling okay, but I have to be okay. I just go somewhere, throw it away, step back out, feel like a new person. So, what'd you guys think? Stacy, I work with super emotionally dysregulated folks, and they will love this exercise. Yes, yes, yes. This exercise is huge, and just wait till you see the horse after I do it. Like, if I wasn't already a believer, wait till you guys see this video. Super cool. And you know, if you work, any human being can benefit from this exercise. I wish I had this information when my kids were little, because we'd have thrown a lot of stuff away. All right, and let's see. So this next breath is the straw breath, and I use this breath if I'm dealing with someone. You know, sometimes in the retreats that we do, things get really emotional, and sometimes, you know, people can have like a trauma snap or a trigger. And so this exercise works really, really well. Let's say you've gotten yourself to a point where you're hyperventilating, or you're just like, you're losing your mind. You're like, feel like you're starting to come out of your body. So this, if you need grounding, if something that has happened that is very upsetting and you need grounding, this is an awesome exercise. So we're going to breathe in through our nose for 4 counts. And it's very simple to do. And it's called straw breathing. Some people teach this by actually getting a straw and breathing through it. If you haven't done this before, starting out breathing through a straw, like, it made me feel like I was going to drown or suffocate. It was too much for me. I could probably do it now, but if you're just starting out, I recommend just piercing your lips like you're breathing through a straw. So we'll breathe in through our nose, 4 count. Again, you're filling your belly with air. And then you're going to purse your lips as if you had a straw in your mouth. And you're going to breathe for 8 counts. And this, Sarah, will help you also strengthen your lungs and all the muscles that you use to breathe. So we'll go ahead. And again, we're just going to do 3 of these. This one can also tend to make you quite sleepy. And if you feel dizzy while you're doing this, again, you can either lay on your back or stop. Don't push yourself. Don't pass out. It's not worth it. Give yourself grace and know that it takes time, just like anything else, to build muscle and stamina in this. So let's go ahead, and you can also put your hands on your belly for this one if you'd like. If you struggle with making sure that you're belly breathing, you can always place your hands on your belly or your diaphragm while you're doing this. So we'll inhale for 4 counts. Pause just a second, and then breathe out through 8. And you're going to push the breath out through your abdomen by squeezing your abdomen. And again, as if you had a balloon, you're shrinking that balloon. And go ahead and do it again. So we're going to inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause just a second. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And one last time. In through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sarah said, is it wrong to feel like I'm exhaling from the belly first and chest last? No, nope, that's fine. As long as your belly, the thing we want to not do or prevent is when we exhale, when we inhale, we want our belly to expand. And when we exhale, we want our belly to contract. So that's most important. And the more that you work on the 3-part breathing, the more regulated you'll become. So again, this is just like going to the gym. Do you guys have any questions on the straw breathing? What are your thoughts? Did Kelly fall asleep? Awesome. Yeah, and Stacy, if you work with people that are emotionally dysregulated and they do end up, having a trigger or start, really getting upset and hyperventilating, this is, it works miracles. We had a veteran come through the program, and they had a really traumatic experience in Iraq with airplanes, and we live right next to the guard base, so the F-16s fly over, and we were in a session, and the planes kept flying over, and she snapped, and like went back to the memory. She was just having like a really hard time somatically, and we used this straw breathing exercise, and it brought her within minutes, brought her back out. Back down. The only thing is if you're in a really stressful situation and you are doing the straw breathing and you are like coming down from hyperventilation state, you want to keep your eyes open at first. You do not want to close your eyes. So you want to do this with your eyes open and focused on a specific item on the ground in the room. Let's see, Stacy said we do something similar called smell the flower, blow out the candle. Perfect. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Awesome. Very good. All right. This exercise is called box breathing. This is probably my favorite one. I love all these breaths. but I do a lot of box breathing, especially to fall asleep at night or to bring myself down from a stressful situation. So I prefer box breathing as opposed to straw breathing. They're both great, but this is definitely my favorite. So step 1 is going to be to inhale through the nose for a count of 4. And you're going to fill your lungs just like we did with the straw breathing. So you're going to breathe in for 4, then you're going to hold for 4. Then you're going to exhale through 4. Make sure all the air is out of your lungs, and you're going to hold your lungs empty for 4. And then you're going to repeat it again. So just, hence the name box breathing. None of these names are really, they're all pretty descriptive. But sometimes I like to visualize kind of 4 sides of a box in my mind when I am breathing. So it's like inhale, I visualize a line going up. Hold, I see the line going over. Exhale, the line going down. Hold, the line going over. So we're going to do that 3 times. So we'll go ahead and inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Make sure your lungs are empty. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Breathe in through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out through the mouth. 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Go back to regular breathing. What do you guys think about that one? I feel like that one is the most impactful on my emotional state or my physiology. So, and it's cool to do when you're on a horse's back because you'll see the difference in the horse. Kara says requires more focus. Yes, it absolutely does. And maybe that's why I like it so much because, especially when people have trouble meditating or getting into that meditative state or even quieting their mind, this is a really, really good one because you're not thinking about clearing your mind because you're kind of keeping that rhythm and cadence. So Sarah said, the more you have to count, the more concentration it takes. Yes, absolutely. I agree. All right. And then this is the final exercise, breathing exercise that we're going to talk about for tonight. And so you're going to take your hand. This can get a little tricky. The first time I did this, it was a little tricky. So you're going to take your hand. So you can place your left hand. You only need one hand for this. You can place your left hand on your thigh, just so it's out of the way. And then you're going to take your pointer finger and your middle finger, and you're going to put them down and touch your palm. So your hand is like this. And then you're going to put your right hand up by your nose, and you're going to put your thumb by your right nostril and your index finger or your ring finger by your right nostril. And you're just going to breathe through one side. You're going to inhale through one side. You're going to exhale through the other side. And then you're going to inhale through that same side and exhale through the original side. So it'll be like inhale through the right. I'm sorry. You're going to inhale through the left and plug your right nostril. And again, you can do a count of 4. Then you're going to switch fingers and you're going to close your left nostril and you're going to exhale through your right nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to leave your index finger on your left nostril. You're going to inhale through your right nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're going to switch back to your thumb on your left nostril, and you're going to exhale your right nostril, sorry, and exhale through your left nostril. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is tricky to explain and tricky maybe the first time you do it, but once you get into the rhythm, it gets easier with time. So I don't do this one often. I like to share it. Some people really, really love it. I think it's okay, but like I said, I like to share it. So we'll go ahead and let's do that. We'll do 3 sets of that. So you're gonna put your hand up by your nose, and you're gonna put your thumb on your right nostril, and you're gonna inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna switch and put your index finger on your left nostril. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you're gonna inhale, stay the same. Inhale through your right nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4. Move your thumb over your right nostril, let go with your index finger. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay the same. Inhale, left nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your thumb off your right nostril, switch to your index finger. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay the same. Inhale through your right nostril, 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch, thumb on your right nostril. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Again, this one takes practice, and it's either you love it or you hate it. So I'll let you guys decide. But again, when we're doing these exercises normally in a practice, I try to repeat them 6 to 8 times. So I don't know. What did you guys think? Did you love that one? Did you hate it? Did you find it complicated? I feel like some people just really love it. My breathwork instructor really loves it, Melinda. Yep, Karen liked it. Okay, good. Oh, Sarah said it's the easiest one so far. Super, awesome. See, it's like when people love it, they really love it. So I'm glad I included it. All right. So let's take a look at what happens when you do these breathing exercises with your horse. And like I said, when I filmed this, I wanted to use a horse that had never done breath work before. So she had not been introduced to any of this. And we're gonna see how she responds. So I start out with straw breathing. And I pulled her out of the pasture. We came in the arena and we just started. So she was very uninterested in me. And after just a couple of breaths, you can kind of see her draw in, start to make that connection. There's a little bit of a release. And this was within minutes. Like I just literally walked out. I haven't seen her in probably 2 months. My friend was not out there. She's out of town. And so that's a horse that I haven't seen in a while, is not my horse. I don't have a long-standing relationship with. And in just moments, I was able to get her attention, and I didn't pursue her in any fashion. And she drew right into me. All right. Okay, then I did this all simultaneously within, maybe a half an hour. And this is the first time. So there are no retakes, there are no edits. This is just the flow of how this completely went down. I didn't do anything in between these. So just a few minutes after I did the straw breathing, I moved right into the 3-part breathing. And it was really quite profound. Oh, I didn't cut the volume on this one. So immediately she has a release. And I like to put my hand on their low belly when I do the 3-part breathing. I feel like it just connects me to them. A lot of horses will hold stress and trauma in their solar plexus. So as a guide, I just like to put my hand there. And sometimes when I'm exhaling, I just visualize any gross energy kind of coming out of the horse, through my body, and into the ground. But you can kind of see her start to relax. And I do this typically without a halter and lead rope with my own horses. But because this was the first time I had ever done this with Sassy, I just grabbed a halter and lead rope. But check this out. This is so cool. So big release, she's blowing out of her nostrils. And she just goes right down to shake it off. She rolled for quite a while. I cut this video shorter than I wanted to. But again, for her being in a situation, it was also dinner time. So I couldn't believe she was as attentive as she was, because I wasn't the person feeding, and she, I think, thought I was there to feed her, and then quickly realized I was not there to feed her, and she was nice to me anyway. So that was pretty darn cool. Okay, this one is box breathing, and I did a little bit of an experiment here, but I wanted to see if I could get her to step off and walk with me, without having to pull her. And so when I first started, I didn't do any breathing, and then I came back and did the breath. So you'll see the contrast here in how much difference it makes if you just take a couple of seconds to breathe with your horse before you initiate a session, or even before you initiate a movement. So see how all the resistance there, and I kind of have to drag her, and she's still not even willing to come up with me. So this is just like, that was take number 1. No work was done in between. All I did was walk right back to this spot, do my box breathing a couple of times. She's totally tuning into me. There we go. Effortless walk off. So I thought that was super cool. And this is my throat away breath with Sassy. It was really cool. I had no idea how she would respond, especially to me flinging my arms around. But I want you guys to just watch, like, it was magnetic. She went straight to my solar plexus, and she kept like breathing me in. She was like really taking big breaths, and she had her nose like right on my low belly. And I just didn't move. I didn't do anything. And she really stayed there for quite a while. Stacy, so these videos are not public on my YouTube channel, but you guys will get these slides, so you'll have the links to them. So you're welcome to use them. All right. I just thought that was super cool. That's actually, yeah, that's the first time that I've done throw it away with a horse. I usually just do it on myself. I wasn't planning on doing it with the horse. I usually just do it on myself as needed before I go into the barn. And I don't know, I just felt inspired to try it. And I will be doing it again with my horses. All right, so then I moved into some mounted breathing. like I said, box breathing is my favorite, but I want you, let me see. This is the one where I think I just get on her back. See, oh, Carol said, are they like us? They respond better to certain breathing patterns. I think so. So this is just my initial, this horse hasn't been ridden in months. Her owner's been out of town. I haven't seen her in months. I pull her out of the field, do some breathing on the ground, get on her back. And again, I'm just doing the box breathing, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4. And I want you to watch her eye in this. So she's processing. Her nostrils are starting to go. Towards the end here, she almost falls asleep. Yeah, and her ears are definitely, she's attentive, but just so relaxed. There she goes. I was like, I kept my foot on the block because I was like, is she gonna fall asleep? Is she gonna lay down? Good. And I also, too, I wanted to point out, I kind of let them tell me, when they're ready. Like, I feel like she was in that really meditative, like calm state. Her eyes were closing. And then she kind of told me like, okay, that's good. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And so I really try to be attentive and listen to them as well. But, she just nice and calmly walked off. And this horse is a horse that historically has tons of trauma. She was locked in a stall, abused, mistreated. They did reining stuff with her, just awful, awful, awful. And my friend Jennifer, who rescued her, bought her, but rescued her, had 0 horse experience when she got this mare. So they've been through an incredible journey together. Lots and lots and lots of healing. And I think breath work for them is just really going to be the next level in their relationship. So, and then here, I'm just doing the same thing, the box breathing at the walk. And I want you guys to watch the horse's movements in this. So I'm going with the cadence of her step. So I'm breathing in for 4 steps, holding for 4 steps, exhaling for 4 steps, holding for 4 steps. And you'll be able to see in her movement. And like right now, so this is immediately after that next video. I just kind of cut it to put it in a different YouTube link. But look at her top line. Look at how level she is. So her physiology is telling me that mentally and emotionally, she's in a very balanced state. She's in homeostasis, and she's open to receiving any type of instructions that I'm giving her. But really pay attention and see if you can see where I'm at in my breath. So there's the inhale and the hold. And then the exhale, the inhale, and the exhale. There's the exhale. And the inhale. See how her neck and head comes up? And you can even see in her back end. And then you can see her head come down on the exhale. And there's the release. So that's 2 small circles around the arena, and I already have a release from her. So, which I love. And then I was kind of experimenting yesterday, if I'm just being honest. So we just did a couple of laps, and then I was like, I'm going to try the 3-part breathing. I know, we say we can do it laying on our backs and practicing it, but I want to see how she responds to the 3-part breathing, just laying kind of forward on her. So I just ran my hands up, and you'll see I put my hands kind of together over her chest area, like over her. Yeah. And then if you kind of look at her eye, you really see it start to soften. I didn't want her to feel like I was like a dead weight predator hanging on her back. I don't think she felt that way. I was cognizant of that, but yeah, see how her ear, it's almost like she's energetically being drawn into me. And it felt really, really awesome. It was very cool. And again, I really tried to listen. So I think she got a little relaxed, and she shifted her weight back and kind of took a step back. And so I just kind of let her tell me like, okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm done. So I went through all these steps, and then I dismounted, and I just took a couple of breaths, and she went immediately to me, for connection. And I love how her head is low, she's relaxed, her body is soft. And she really wanted to be in my space, and she genuinely wanted to connect with me. And, like I said, this was maybe 10 minutes. I didn't do any extra takes. I gave my husband the camera, and I had him just sequentially take me through all these steps. So I thought it was pretty cool. Like I said, this is stuff I've been practicing, but this is the first time I've put it in a teachable course and given the information. And I try in all my work to be unbiased and challenge my theories, improve, disprove, and grow and find better information. But I couldn't have been more pleased with the way that turned out on a fresh horse that I didn't have a relationship with, a normal relationship. So perfect. I know we got a little bit of a late start, but I just want to open the floor for any questions. Sarah said, that's the most quality in 10 minutes I've seen. And with this weather, I'm looking forward to trying this since riding is kind of out. Yeah. So it's cold, it's icy. A lot of this stuff you can just do on the ground. And I know Sarah, for Orion, I just cannot wait to see how this impacts him and where this can take him, and if he even experiences any physical healing. Carol said, can you do it in groups of horses? Absolutely. So when I do my breath work with my horses, I will actually go just right in the middle of a herd. So I don't like to say how many horses I have, but I have 3 herds. And the biggest herd is in the front. And I believe there's 12 of them, from Percherons to Mustangs to a pony to a mini donkey. And they love it. Sometimes they fight to like get over to me when I do this. But, in the summer when it's nice out, sometimes I'll just go out in the field and I won't even actually be near them. Maybe they'll be out in the field grazing, and I'll just sit in my camp chair and I'll start breathing. And then before I know it, they're all surrounding me. So they love this. It definitely affects group cohesion. Carol, that's a great question. I'm So I'm trying to put out 2 classes a month, but this is definitely the first step to group cohesion. I have some energetic clearing and also some breath clearing, but I felt like that was a totally different topic. But this does help with group cohesion. I also have more specific, like acute breath work that incorporates muscle testing that also helps with group cohesion. So, in your profession as a veterinarian, I think that some of the stuff I have to show you, and I'm curious to see how you implement that in your practice and what it brings. But yeah, it definitely does. When you can hold this energetic space and you're releasing your tension, then it definitely can allow the herd to release some of their tension. I actually have to go out and implement it tomorrow. I had my mini herd, man, 2 of them were butt to butt today. There was like some mad drama going on out there, and unfortunately I didn't have time to address it, but there was beef. And so I'm actually going to try this tomorrow along with some other things, and I'll try to record that and share it. But yes, it definitely helps with herd cohesion. What else? What questions do you guys have? Questions, comments? Was this valuable? Did you find it beneficial? Was it new information? Awesome. Good. Great. Carol, can I influence the relationship between an owner and a horse? Absolutely. That is a great question as well. You absolutely can. So what I would recommend, and maybe you can even test this out for me, but as you are, called to, if you have an emergency or even if you just have a regular appointment, I'd be curious to see if you breathe in the car before you arrive at your appointment. But you can also do some of these things subtly. So I know, like, when I facilitate, especially when we do our veterans retreats or really anytime I facilitate, I typically have people show up that have a lot of trauma. And so I will just take a couple of really big, deep breaths, and I won't say anything or even acknowledge that I'm doing anything. But the 3-part breath, if you can do it subtly. I'm not really subtle about it anymore, but I used to try to be subtle, so people didn't think I was weird, but then I stopped caring. But you can do these breaths, and then you can just kind of watch, and I'm sure it's different between every human and horse relationship, but you can definitely show up and you can co-regulate the human and the horse. And I think the clearing breath work would influence them even more, but definitely this. And I'd be really curious to see how, while the human unwinds their story. Absolutely. So, and I'll show you guys this. It's in part of my training pyramid for connection, but I'll stand up and do this, but I'll just demonstrate. So if I'm talking to someone and they're telling me about their trauma or they're very upset, I'll put myself in what I like to call passive body language. So I'll kind of stand back. Maybe I'll put one foot kind of behind me and rest, and then I'll bend a knee. So my body weight is shifted backwards. And I like to have my chest and my belly exposed. And then as someone is talking to me, I'll just take a really deep belly breath. And maybe like they're coming at me with their story, and they're like, and this happened, and this happened, and then this, and then this. And I'll just kind of draw myself up in that 3-part breath. Maybe nod my head, affirm that I'm listening. And then I'll just kind of let a big breath drop. And I will watch them kind of start to mirror me, right? Because at first when I'm talking to someone, sometimes I'll try to mirror them, and then I'll kind of take over that energetic control. I'll step back, and then I'll just kind of take that deep breath, and they definitely assimilate to that. And you can do it multiple times. I mean, obviously use your better judgment. No one's ever said anything to me. And I would say, like, I don't, not necessarily take a step back, but I rock back, or I put my weight back, because I feel like that. I'm sorry, my cat is in a bag right now. I don't know how she got in here. She's been so good the whole time. Sorry. So I like to step back, because again, like, when we're working with horses and we want to create draw, we take a step back and we create space. And a lot of times when I step back, that kind of draws that person into me, but I feel like I'm just creating this energetic space. And I feel like a lot of work is done in that space non-verbally. And I know just through like body language, and people always think like, oh, well, if somebody's talking, you should lean forward. But when you're working with victims of trauma, you don't ever want to advance towards them in any fashion. Or I can assume that it could be similar for your clients, right? Maybe they aren't, maybe they don't have like chronic complex trauma, but they've just been through a traumatic experience. So the last thing they want is any mental or emotional pressure on them. So I use this a lot. I even use it in my military career. I'm a first sergeant, so I get a lot of people in my office telling me their problems all the time, and it's funny because even in school, when they talk about active listening, they're like, lean towards them and, show that you're paying attention. But I just don't feel like for me personally that works. I love to sit back, lean back, open my shoulders and my chest, create that space, and then breathe big breaths. So I'm curious if you try it, what type of feedback you'll get. So I can't wait to follow up. I can't wait to follow up with all of you. I also have a free group that you can join. I'm going to send out the email with this recording, and then I'll send out the link to the group so we can all stay in touch. And if you guys have more questions or you want to share an experience, I always love feedback, any type of feedback. So any more questions? All right. What's next? So my next course that I'm going to work on, it'll be in a couple of weeks, is going to be creating containers for you and your equine partner. So it's going to be about creating energetic containers, putting intentions in them, and being able to protect yourself, protect your horse, communicate with your horse, and set up all of your training and interaction sessions for success. So that will be next. Awesome. Well, it was great to connect with you all. Again, thank you for being here. And this is so inspiring. You guys are helping me live my purpose, actualize my dream, which is profound. And I'm deeply, deeply grateful for the opportunity to do that and to share and to help you all and help the horses. So this has been wonderful. And I will get you the recording. It usually takes a couple of days because my internet sucks out in the country, but I'll get you the recording. I'll get you the link to the group, and stay tuned. I'll have the date up for the next class soon. Oh, and if you like these classes and you want to attend more, I'm offering the first 100 people into my monthly group for just $47. It's normally $99. So you get lifetime access to all the online content and the vault. So everything that we do for $47 a month. So it's a good deal. It's on the website under membership if you want to sign up for that and save some money, because we all like to save money. So thank you again, and I hope to see you guys in the next class. Have a great night.